So just come into the present moment, bud. And tonight I want your input, James. Any questions, any insights you've got? I know you're good on this topic. So observe from the conscious observer. Follow your breath. And be aware of who is following the breath. Separate from your mind and your thoughts and your thinking, time, and come into the present moment. And let your awareness settle down into your lower abdomen. And breathe deep down into the lower abdomen. Thank you. And as the lower abdomen fills with presence and light, see that light radiating up into the heart, and just move into a state of selflessness. Don't think of what selflessness looks like. Stay in the heart and just feel it. Just feel what it feels like to surrender to selflessness. The opposite of selfishness. And a practice I've been doing lately, which is very nice, is we're not going to visualize any of the energy centers just to start with. We're just going to feel each of the 10 conditions. So one thing Mantak Chia mentioned in that interview, which was beautiful, is the discovery of violet light. Violet light is light that has been discovered that is everywhere. It's in the darkness, it's everywhere. And the reason I bring it up is because the wisdom that goes with Da Guang Ming in Master Sha's teaching is, I am inside Tao Source Light. Tao Source Light is within me. So, without even creating a visualization, feel light. Feel whatever, however that feels to you. Feel in the body light. Next is gratitude. Instead of thinking of something to be grateful for, no visualization. Just try this practice. Just feel gratitude. Just feel grateful. Now feel humble. Feel humility. What does humility feel like? And And as we feel these in the body, remember what they feel like. This practice has really helped me lately throughout my day. Remember, what we feel has a chemical signature in the body, and it also gives off a frequency and vibration. It's our contribution to the field. You know, most people, including myself, when you're at work or whatever, it's very easy to stay in the mind and stay in an egoic state. So when we feel humble, what that feels like, it's a complete opposite. It's a shift of what we're usually feeling. And it really changes the body's physiology. Next, feel love. Not to anyone, for anyone, not receiving, just feel the condition of love. Next, feel service. What does the feeling feel like of being in service? Next is forgiveness. What does forgiveness feel like? Feel enlightenment. What would it feel like? What does it feel like to be enlightened? There's no mind talking, well, enlightenment's this and enlightenment's that. Just feel enlightened. Next is compassion. Feel compassion. Next is flourishing. Feel flourishing. What a beautiful condition to feel. When we can tap in and feel flourishing, we're experiencing flourishing. The opposite of living in lack, complaining. And the last one is harmony. Feel harmony. Such beautiful conditions. And now feel how you feel after applying all of those conditions, the feeling of them. I found this a really simple practice. Really simple practice. And it's been really, really helping me change the way the body's feeling. very fast. So when you're ready, you can open your eyes. If at any point you want to add anything, add it. If you want to ask any questions, ask any questions. You'll probably know more on this than me. I'm not saying I know this topic, okay? I'm just going to try and connect a few dots and a few conversations I've had lately and questions that have come up. So the simulated universe. Scientists are now really agreeing that the nature of our reality is the same as a simulation, even a computer game. I listened to a TED talk today, and they're basically saying it's the same. That the further we go down, the setup is the same as a simulation. It's not solid. Our reality is not solid. Every enlightened master says it's an illusion once they become awake, once they step out of the simulation, however that is. They all say this is an illusion. Atisha, the thrice great, famous Rinpoche, who reached enlightenment through three different enlightened beings, who all reached enlightenment from different practices. One was internal compassion, which is basically staying in the mountains and breathing in the suffering of all sentient beings and transmuting it into light and then sending it out. The other one was like outer external compassion, like a Mother Teresa, if you like. And the other one was enlightened on the teaching of emptiness, understanding emptiness. And they all three of them taught him enlightenment, which he was a very enlightened master. And the first sutra he wrote when he came back was all phenomena is illusion. So reflect on that. So what's the observer's relationship to the simulation? We can touch on maybe Joe Dispenza's work here, or the Buddha, in fact. Joe Dispenza says that when you look at you are the placebo, this illusion is 99.129 space, this simulation. And in that space, all potentials exist. I think about the game Grand Theft Auto or something like that. In the program of the game on a disc, the information on the disc, it's just the disc, but when you put it into the computer, there's a whole world in there, right? There's depth, time, everything. Now in that game, I think you even mentioned something similar to this. Wherever your character's going is what the character's experiencing. But in the program in the game is far vaster than what the character's experiencing. So, if you look at us now, there is a potential where I jump out the window. It's not. It exists. It's a possibility that could happen. Or I, poke myself in the eye with a pen. All these countless possibilities exist now. So what the Buddha said was, one of the insights the Buddha had when he sat down was, when he just observed still, he realized that everything came into existence, whether it was the sun in the morning or a bird flying into his awareness or whatever, came into existence, existed, and then disappeared, went off somewhere. But it was always observed by consciousness. Consciousness is always present. And he realized that the observer, or the spirit, or consciousness, whatever you want to call it, is actually not in 3 dimensions. It's outside of 3 dimensions, observing 3-dimensional reality. And this is why the nature of the 3-dimensional reality is subject to time and space. And even Joe Dispenza says this. Joe Dispenza said when he healed himself, he realized that the consciousness that is breathing for him and doing all this is always present, always present. And if he could get his mind to align with that, the healing would be very fast. And it was. He healed himself. Incredible story. If you don't know it, find it on YouTube. So that's the observer. So we're going to come back to this because it's very important what we observe in the simulation. This is why many people are saying there's a war on consciousness. If you look at the elite, the 1%, this is what they're trying to control, because, and we'll go into a bit more after, they keep you in fear, and they keep us all focusing on a potential that exists, which is that the world's a bad place and all the rest of it. We can go into that a little bit later. Does anyone do you want to touch on that, add anything to that? If anything comes up at any time, you're not going to break anything, so stop me, so just put your hand up and share, because I know you know a lot about this. Insight I've had, whether it's true or not, is if our conscious observer, our spirit, is observing this existence, and Master Shah said a few times, he said, a lot of people don't realize, but the biggest blocker in your life can be your own soul. So I got a big insight from that, because if you're playing a computer game and your character starts going rogue, what would you do? You'd start trying to get frustrated with him and start trying to put blockages in his path. So therefore, everything that exists, all form is informed. Everything is made of Shen Qi Jing. We've spoke about this. Soul, heart, mind, or spirit, energy, and matter. That goes for a thought, if we have a thought. That goes for a character in a computer game. So this is where this is what I've thought. If we are in a simulation, I'm not saying this is 100%, but if we are in a simulation, and the governing force that wrote the program, or whoever's above us that we don't see, if they start killing us or we start killing each other, are we subject to karma? We are subject to karma. So I believe that these kids now playing more realistic games and they're going around killing people in the game, I believe they're getting karma.
Because a lot of those games are like multiplayer online as well, it's inevitably because you're interacting with people as well who are sitting in another room somewhere else. So even that aspect of it is obviously creating karma.
Yeah, and even on our physical level, because it's a psychic pollution as well, you see. If you're enjoying killing somebody in a game and arguing with someone, I mean, you're giving psychic pollution off, but yeah, there's an entanglement there. But I believe even in the game, the characters that are dying in the game, you know, you might be watching this and go, whatever. And I understand if you do say that, but if you're not familiar with the simulated universe, start researching it. It is really a hot topic in the mainstream science now. Virtual reality. So my understanding is we don't want to go deeper into the simulation. We want to break free of the simulation, right? Free our spirit. My Buddhist teacher said to me, we need to cut all attachments to this world, and we'll go into that soon. But why I believe they're pushing it, and if you want to look at it as heaven and hell, right? It makes sense that this program is like a hell program. Okay, you look at the suffering that's going on in this program alone. So the 1% are pushing games, in my opinion, I believe, because obviously it keeps us unconscious, and there's a lot of people talking about that. But what I believe is the further in you go, boom, boom, the more lost your consciousness is. You're going down rather than working your way up.
Trapping you in the material.
Correct. Trapping you into a simulation within a simulation. We may already be within a simulation within a simulation. See, one question that my mate asked me, Fletcher, which is the next point, my mate Fletcher said to me, he's a really smart guy. And he said, Nick, do you believe that the spirit is in a simulation? And the answer that came to me on the spot was, Master Shah's experience always blows me away. Master Shah doesn't talk about the simulated universe, but all of his earlier books, he shares his experience, his encounter with the divine. And that encounter with the divine, he talks about when he gets given the authority to be a servant of God, of the divine. And this is what he said. The divine said to Master Shah, and this is really interesting. I didn't get this as much as in recent years. He said, how? He says, if you offer a healing to Master Shah, I'll do the job. Master Shah said, how? And Master Shah said, I was surprised by the divine's question. The divine said to me, do you understand software? And he said, not really good on computers, but I understand accounting software. And he said, it's the same thing. When you do a healing, right, I will clear the soul of the organ, let's say, because he did a demo with someone who had I think he had stage 4 cancer. Anyway, he healed himself of cancer, and he gave back then it was called soul software. It's a software, it's a new soul it was his liver, I think, to Walter's liver. He got a new soul software that he had to turn on and practice with, chant a mantra for it, visualize it, and so on and so forth. But how interesting is that? Okay, he's actually telling us there that this reality is digital. You know, we come in with a karmic program that we can change through service, or we can make more karma. Exactly. When Danielle just said, when we receive blessings, it's a download, okay? So look at the word. So my question to Fletcher, and I don't know if this is right, this is just an insight I got. I've always wanted to know, the divine that appeared to Master Shah, and anybody who's watching this, right? If you want me to interview Master Shah, I want to interview Master Shah. Get this, ask him if I can interview him, because I've got so many questions that I've never heard him get asked. Is the divine that came to him in another program? Or is it a part of this program? Or is it outside of the program? I want to ask questions like this. And the reason why is because this is I don't know if this is true, but this is my answer to Fletcher's question. Master Shah, when he gives this teaching recently, you know, the Tao, which is the no thingness, there's existence there. Of course, if the Tao creates everything, there's an intelligence there, okay? We just can't know it or see it. But over eons, the Tao creates Wundun, which is one, a blade condition. We'll go over this every week. One, heavy chi, light chi rises and falls, creates yin yang, which Tian, heaven, Di, Mother Earth, physical world, spiritual world. 2, which is yin yang plus Tao, is 3. 3 creates everything, human beings, countless planets, stars, galaxies, and universes. Master Shah said a number of times lately that this is like the stock market. Boom, 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 boom. Reincarnation is where we suffer, right? And reincarnation, Buddha taught the same thing. Buddha taught the same thing. He said, in Buddha's language, this is samsaric cycle, okay? Birth, death, creating more and more karma, getting stuck in one woo. Birth, old, sick, death, birth, old, sick, death, birth, old, sick, that we can't get back. So if this is like the stock market, even in what the Buddha said was, you may reach a level where you don't have to reincarnate for a while, and you can be like a demigod, but you're still governed by yin-yang, karmic law, samsara. And this is why my Buddhist teacher always said, you have to weigh up spiritual meditation with physical contribution. If you give and give and give and give and don't learn any wisdom, her analogy, which is quite extreme, she said, you could come back as an elephant in India that's full of diamonds. Okay, you get me? You've gained a lot because you've gained a lot of materialism, but you haven't got the wisdom. You look at people in these Illuminati families, for example, materialistic. They may have done a lot of service. They may have done a lot of good. They've come back in one of these families with all the material gain they want. They haven't got the wisdom, and what did they do? They create so much karma, bunk, bunk, back down. They have to do it all again. So this is my answer to Fletcher's question. Is Shen in the simulation? There may be countless layers of the simulation. But Buddha said, get out of samsara into nirvana, right? Nirvana. Nirvana is Tao, as far as I understand it. It's the end of yin yang. Master Sha says the same thing. This is the highest achievement. This is where the suffering is, okay? So I believe that the body is made of Jing, matter, Qi, energy, Shen, soul, heart, mind. But Shu Dao. Shu and Dao is Yuan Shen, okay? Dao is Yuan Shen. Yuan Shen. Yuan Shen means original soul. So the Shi Shen belongs to yin-yang laws, and that is the body soul. Shi Shen means body soul, and that's the soul that is constantly reincarnating. But everything has Yuan Shen. The Buddha, when he reached enlightenment, said everything has Buddha nature. Buddha nature, he was referring to, in my understanding, I'm not saying I'm right, in my understanding, is Tao, the end of full enlightenment. Master Sha's language, Yuan Shen. Yuan Shen is Tao in the body, okay? Yuan Shen is the aspect within us that belongs to the Wu world. So Master Sha says in Soul, Mind, Body Science book that we possess the power of countless planets, stars, galaxies, and universes, the Yo world. We also possess the power of the Wu world. That's why it's so important to attain Min Shin Jian, which is enlighten the heart, to see your Yuan Shen, see your true self. So my answer to this question was, I believe that Shen could possibly still be within a simulation. This Shen, Shi Shen. But I believe that the Yuan Shen is what's out of all layers of the simulation.
Is it believed that we share Yuan Shen as the one entity experiencing from in the multitudes?
I would say so, because
Is that an individual?
I would say so because an insight I got, I'm not saying the insight is saying I'm absolutely right, but I saw this once, it was like that. Like a lightning. Okay? So that's like down normal and reverse creation. It's one that's subdividing countless times. So you're right, that Yuan Shen is Tao in everybody. And that is why everybody is one. You get me? So we're going to jump a little bit, but I'll come back to it. Correct. And this is why. This is also why in Buddhism, right? Ditsang Wangpusa, for example, their vow is to bring all these lost souls who are stuck here, bring them to Buddhahood or bring them to Tao. That is to say, I've reaching Buddhahood purely to keep going back in and enlighten as many people as I can and free them because we're all one. Make sense? All right. So another angle of this is, in this reality, is are we being farmed? Okay, I wanted to do a presentation on this, and I don't know whether I'm going to go there because I've tested the water with a few people, and they don't like it. So, but basically, this is a hell program. It's a lower dimension. Okay, you just look at the suffering that's going on here, and this is an insight I've had recently, right? This insight actually blew my head off, and it was only a few days ago. If this is a program and it's a hell program, forgiveness is karma, okay? Karma keeps us in the simulation. So why is forgiveness so important? Because just say we're planning on detaching, okay? I'm going to totally detach from this program, which is one of the ways out. And let's say we attach to the point where we are completely detached. We are completely detached. What would keep us bound to the program? Anybody we've hurt that is stuck in the program because we hate them. For example, the Dalai Lama says, at the moment of death, it's very important you are not in fear. This is why it's so sad to see animals getting mistreated. Obviously, there's a karmic reason for that. There's a karmic reason for everything that happens. But this is free of karma. In Tao, this is karma. Here, right here. That is karma. Yin-yang laws, karma world. So, if you hate something, and it's through hating it, it moves into fear, it becomes more attached. We're going to go into this on the other side. It becomes more attached to the program. It gets caught in samsaric suffering, right? We can't fully detach. We are bound to the karmic cycle by the people that are still there because of the suffering we've caused. Therefore, forgiveness is the way out. Yep, message centers is your karma center. Danielle's saying when you see your karmic size come from your karmic center, free the karma. Correct. So the karma center is our message center in Master Sha's teaching. And you enlighten your heart to see your true self. To enlighten your heart, you need to clear your karma.
Every spiritual tradition wants it hard.
Yep. It's a selfless center as well, you see. So forgiveness is the key. We need to seriously ask to be forgiven. Okay, sincerely, because that's cutting our entanglement with those we've hurt. And we need to forgive, because let's say we've been forgiven but we don't forgive, we're keeping somebody else in here, and we can't get there without forgiving. It's as simple as that. Once we reach, as we attain more and more insight, it's compassion. Compassion is what drives us to free everybody here. Okay? And Tao is compassionate. So it could all be a big karmic game. We don't know. You know, a lot of I think it was the Hindu traditions, they talk about Leela, is it? The divine game, the game that God's playing. You know, could be. We don't fully know, but fundamentally, suffering is an illusion. But what I like about what Thich Nhat Hanh says, he says suffering is an illusion. He says that's true, but is it an illusion for you? Are you going to walk around saying that suffering's an illusion and still suffer if it doesn't resonate with you? So if you're not at that level yet, suffering is very, very real. Life gives us. You're given the opportunities you need to. Well, I need to. Anything we see, there's a karmic reason we're seeing it. And that is so we know what to ask for forgiveness for. We come into this world and we say we don't know what we've done. We don't know what this, that, and the other. Life shows us what we've done. Because whatever we're experiencing is what we've got to heal. So going back to Are We Being Farmed, is this a hell program? There are beings that feed off our negative energy in this realm, just outside the visible light, that are, you know, David Icke talks about the reptilians, and he gets a lot of slack for saying he didn't come up with it. Every tradition in every part of the world, from every different era, speaks about the reptilians. Here, go on. I'll share that story because I know people won't be able to hear that. Danielle's just brought up a story about a guy who managed I think it was a mental home, and a journalist was studying the time that he was in the home, and when he was there, more people got healed than ever in the history of this hospital. When this guy wanted to find out what he'd done, found him, or he didn't find them first, he found people who worked with him, and he was waiting for this inspirational story, and they all said, no, he's a real introvert, he's very quiet, he'd just go and sit in his office. So that threw the guy who wanted to know the story off. Anyway, when the guy found him, he said, are you aware that more people were healed when you were there? And he said, yeah. He said, well, what did you do? He said, every day I'd go in my office and I would get each person's report and I would heal that in myself. Now, I'm assuming you just brought that up, is because if you're in that situation, everybody that's suffering there has got a karmic connection to you because you're there with them. So to heal it in yourself is you're healing that karma. Therefore, you're exhausting their karma too.
You're all one as well.
We're all one as well.
Yeah, I heard once somewhere that to the degree that things exist within the collective, does that exist as a potential within yourself?
Yep.
To the same degree, yeah. So
Well, it's macro, micro. You know, one thing that I noticed about Mantak's teaching and Master Shah's teaching, both very important, both serving the whole. But I saw Mantak's being more focused on Shaodao, which is everyday ways of manipulating chi and using to enlighten the body, okay? Not great. And Master Shah's focus is more Dada. It's more Shulian, to become completely selfless and dedicate every moment to the enlightenment of all sentient beings. Both very important. If you can apply the two of them, great. But the reason I brought it up then with what you said is because the reason the Buddha as well said enlighten yourself is because there's one more enlightened being in the world. You know, there was an insight from a woman on Wednesday night after the Love, Peace, Harmony meditation. And she didn't share it, but she came over to me at the end and she said, we went out and I gave love out to the whole. And he said, and then when we came back, she said, I just felt peaceful. And then she said, and I had this insight that if everybody felt that inner peace, we'd have world peace. And I said, you got it. It's true. You know, enlightenment, universal enlightenment can only go at the pace we go, because it's our experience, it's each individual experience. But at the same time as well, Shulian, service Shulian is beautiful because it just takes the focus off the separate self. You with me? Okay, solutions.
I had another insight recently as well that
Yeah, mate.
like into a lot of the mental health and sort of negative thought patterns. And like just what came to me was that when people are separated from source or not identified with spirit or that the nature of service, then these thought patterns arise because it's almost like creation turning on itself to weed out the things that aren't serving Mother Earth
yeah.
or creation. And so like these negative thought patterns can sort of like make you turn on yourself because you're not serving
The greater good.
in a sense.
Yeah,
Sort of-
it's a good insight, yeah. Well, I think we're going to touch on that now, actually. So, solutions, and going back again to that, are we being farmed? We farm bees for honey, we farm cows for milk. Just don't have to believe me, but just reflect on the possibility that we get farmed for our negative energy. And that's why everything in this reality is based around fear. You know, another insight I got with the conspiracy stuff lately is everything's a conspiracy. Everything. And that's a tactic they use, because guess what? The more I say to people it's a conspiracy, guess what? You just become the conspiracy theorist. Oh, everything's a conspiracy with you, Nick. But it's true. Everything's a conspiracy. Everything is purposely made to keep us here, keep us limited. So fear over love, if we're being farmed for our negative emotions individually, by the way, as well as collectively, and I've found when I looked into the reptilian agenda, when I first came across it and I was on the fence with it, I watched a documentary called The Wake Up. I suggest you watch The Wake Up, of a guy in America who's 35 or something. Did I send you the trailer for that? It basically, his third eye opens. He doesn't know what a third eye is. His spiritual channel's open. He said he's seeing everything. His missus is thinking he's gone mad. And he documents his journey going to all different religions, different spiritual people. Some of them are not really working with him, some of them are. And he's trying to find out what's happened to him. He got on Oprah. It's a famous documentary. I think he goes to Russia and he sees this guy who does Kirlian photography. And the photographer gets him to sit down and starts taking photographs around him. And then he's showing him the photos afterwards. He goes, there's like a red blotch there, a green blotch there. And in the last picture, he goes, are you sure you want to see it? And he says, I know what you're going to show me. I see them all the time. Well, it's a reptilian face that's picked up in the Kirlian photography. Now, and I'll show, because this is recorded, I'll show that picture. On this video. And he says, what are they? And the guy answers, they are extraterrestrials that feed off negative energy. Doesn't mention reptilian, that's what he says. Also, there's a guy called Harry Oldfield. Okay, you can watch him, Kirlian photographer. He takes pictures of like Tibetan Rinpoches and you see all the light around them, and he does all these. And he took a video of a crack cocaine addict. And he says, look at this, she's against the white wall, right? The picture was taken against the white wall and there's two beings either side of her that are picked up on the photography. And she said, she died, but she said, I always hear voices telling me to do terrible things like hurt my parents and things like that, okay? But remember something, okay? Karma. You know, there's a guy called Drunvalo Malvadek. Is that how you pronounce his second name? Melchizedek. Drunvalo Melchizedek. He says something that really resonated with me. He said, let me tell you, the reptilians, long time ago, were seriously mistreated by humans, right? And that resonates with me because guess what? We wouldn't be in this situation if we hadn't done some type of harm to them. We wouldn't be here, right? So, anyway, forgiveness again. Fear and control. Fear and love. Fear, easy to control. One of the key things in mind control is fear. Every news channel shows fear, okay? To get you fear, because when you're in fear, you're easy to control because you're not thinking right, you move into fight or flight. You vibrate lower. Joe Dispenza talks about this. When you move into incoherence or stress, you literally vibrate lower on a cellular level, on an atomic level. You become more attached, very important point. You become more attached to the illusion, to the physical world, right? You become more fearful. The world is hostile, right? I've got to protect the self, and I'm living in survival. Low. You look at my Buddhist teacher told me this. She went, the lower the consciousness, the more they live in fear. You look at a cockroach, you make a move, boom, gone. You look at a lizard, okay, stays still. If it feels threatened, it'll attack or it'll run, okay? The more conscious, the more enlightened, the more fearless you become, okay? So fear, you become fearful. You live in lower states of survival, which then is ego. We're going to go into that in a minute. The separate self that you've got to save, okay? The separate self. And we're limited. We spoke about this last week. 98.5% of our DNA, junk DNA, unexpressed DNA. Electrical potential of 50 to 70 trillion volts is 1.17 volts per cell. We're not tapping into any of that, and it's because we live here. Okay, so living in love, what does that do? Free. True love. I'm not talking about the love, the emotional, feared attachment to loved ones. That is not, in my opinion, true love. The true love is the Tao, okay? The Tao is one love. It's not conditional. It hasn't got a condition on, I love you if you love me back, or I love you because you're being nice to me. It's just love. So you meld with that love, you're free. You vibrate higher. You've proven this. You literally vibrate higher. Tibetan rainbow body is a state that documented people have seen where the physical body vibrates into rainbow light and disappears, okay? You become more detached. You see the illusion for what it is, and there's actually there's a joyfulness about you because you're just detached. You can't be affected by it. You could put a Buddha in prison, okay? They're the freest person in the world still. Fearlessness is love, love is fearlessness. I'll give you an example of fearlessness in a minute. This is such an important condition, to be fearless. The higher the master, the more fearless they are. Oneness, okay? In the heart, it's not a polarity organ. You feel one with everything. You see, even those that are causing the suffering, the people that are the beings that are the negative polarity souls, or the beings that are farming us. You see that we all come from the same creator, and you can love them, you can be compassionate for them, because I tell you, one of the worst things you can do is really understand who they are and get a glimpse of it and realize what's going on, and then hate them. I can't believe blah, 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 blah. You're here, mate. You're here, and you're just going to get farmed more. It's just a waste of time. Unlimited. You reach enlightenment, full DNA expression. So fearlessness is love. We've got to hear some stories of the masters, right? The monks that burned themselves in Vietnam. When I heard Thich Nhat Hanh share that story, I was crying my eyes out for days. The first monk that set fire to himself, Thich Nhat Hanh knew, and he said he was the most joyful man. The monk, he said everybody loved him. His new name, by the way, in Vietnam, translated to English, means the Bodhisattva of infinite burning virtue, right? At the time, Thich Nhat Hanh was with Martin Luther King a lot, and Martin Luther King was a Christian. And when he saw on the news that monk burning, Thich Nhat Hanh said, I know that monk, a very compassionate monk. And he said he was really sad when he watched it. And he said, Martin Luther King said, in my tradition, suicide is no good. It's very bad. And Thich Nhat Hanh said, suicide is when you don't want to live. He said that monk had such a zest for life. He loved life. He sacrificed his life for the people of Vietnam to be heard in the war. That's fearlessness, right? That's detachment to this reality. That is, and if you have watched the video, it's hard to watch, is Disciple Monks. Have you seen it? you seen a video? Set him on fire. He sits in meditation. Blazing fire. Okay? Jesus. Getting tortured. You haven't watched Passion of the Christ? Watch Passion of the Christ. It could have been 1,000 times worse than that movie. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Totally detached, fearless, love in his heart. Shujya Munifu, okay? Had all the material gain you could want, left it all behind. He had a wife and a newborn baby. Left them. Because he saw the illusion, he saw the suffering. In one of his past lives, right? Shujya Munifu represents in spiritual endurance and the end of suffering, okay? He is somebody. Shujya Munifu, and they all are, but Shujya Munifu is a Buddha that comes back to relieve the suffering. In a life before he was Shujya Munifu, there's a famous story in Buddhism where he was a kid, a little boy, he was only a young boy, 7 or 9, and he came across a tiger and had a litter of young tigers, and the tigers were starving to death. And as a young boy, he got a piece of wood and carved out his own flesh and fed it to the baby tigers. Strong, fearless, detached soul Shujya Munifu is. Shujya Munifu, all of them are. Shujya Munifu, incredible example. No attachments to the program. No attachments to the program. Dizang Wangpusa had a glimpse when she made such a deep vow to save her mum from hell. She had a glimpse of the deeper realms of hell, right? But she also had a glimpse of the higher realms of heaven. And in her experience of freeing her mum, one soul, she freed her mum. Her mother at the time criticized the Buddha. The Buddha said, if you criticize someone who's teaching the Dharma, the universal Dharma laws, it's worse than killing your parents, karma. Okay? And her mum criticized, gave a lot of trouble to the Buddha of her time. When her mum died, she was so sad that she made a vow, all my spiritual practice, I give all my virtue to please saving my mum from hell. In a deep meditation, she went to the depths of hell, and her virtue for her vow pulled her mum out into higher realms. And when she came out of her meditation, she was deeply saddened because there was so many souls in hell. So many souls in the program attached to the illusion, whatever you want to call it. And she made a vow. I vow to never go here until this is empty. That is someone who's detached from the program, fearless, completely fearless, strong soul. So, fear as well, I'm going to touch on the ego. It's been a long teaching tonight. Okay, it's an hour, doesn't matter. Ego. When you look at people who are like whistleblowers, who have been in like different, like Corey Good and people like that, whether you believe what they're saying or not, but it's a consistent with anybody that's ever been in like military or anything like that, compartmentalization. They control you through your ego. They do it in schools. They do it in spiritual communities. They do it in the workplace. What do? They say, James, right? I'm giving you the top information, right? Nobody above you. You're the man, James. You get me? You're the man. You are this. I'm relying on you. You know, you got to not share this with anybody. Don't share this with anybody. We've recognized you one of the boys. Blah, 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 blah. Guess what? You don't say a word because you're the man, right? And you're trusted. So wherever James's level is, James, they've got him controlling them. They'll tell old mate, here's old mate. They'll tell him the same story. Bob here, they'll tell him the same story. And James doesn't know there is a Bob. because you're the top of the totem pole. Old mate's top of the totem pole. Bobsy's top of the pole. They don't know. So this is how they control these different layers through ego. Because the ego is attached to the separate self. You with me? You could be attached to being a victim. Nobody likes me. Or, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. It's still an attachment to an illusory self that is empty of a separate self. So separation consciousness, you want recognition. You want to feel special, easy to control. Now, this is something I watched today. I sent you a video today. I just watched an awesome presentation from a guy. I can't remember his name. And he's talking about something, a completely different topic than we're talking about. But halfway through the presentation, he blew me away. He said that he was a priest in a satanic church for 10 years. Right? I was like, wow, didn't see that coming. And he said, I'm going to tell you all now what Satanism is. He said, it's all not what you think it is. He said, and I'm telling you, I was a priest for 10 years. He said, okay, you got it now. This is what he said. They don't pray to an extent. He said there's different, up the top, there's different layers. Bear in mind, he's a good guy now. He's coming out and trying to expose them, whatever. He said, the definition of that religion is the ego. They worship the separate self and see themselves as God and ruler over the rest. And he said, anybody that lives in a state of a dog-eat-dog, I don't care who gets hurt for me to get ahead. Anybody who lives in that state is practicing that religion, right? Anybody. And he gave an analogy of Dr. Evil in Austin Powers. He says you have the big guy, the big guys, the high up ones, but then all these little people who are just ego mad, they're all the little me practicing this. And I got so many dots connected because the vow that music people make in the music industry is to destroy what God made. That's the vow that they make. How do they destroy what God made? Ego. What you just said. It's the opposite to creation and oneness. It's the opposite, right? Now, why am I sharing this? Because I know this might be detrimental, like it may scare a few people. Stay out of fear, by the way. But why am I saying this? What's the opposite of that? Shulian. This is why I really get Shulian. When I listen to the interview with Master Shah and Master Guo said, you have to completely forget about the self. Completely forget about the self and just serve all beings, right? That is service Shulian. It's the totality of the spiritual journey. To completely forget yourself, detach, be fearless, jump in to save people. It's the complete opposite of me. It's to lose the false self, because by doing that, you enlighten the heart. You see your role in nature. You see your true self. You start to align with your Yuan Shen, which is Tao. Okay? Shulian, my insight to this, is the opposite of Satanism religion. Okay? So detachment is the highest achievement. Detachment from the self and service Shulian. The total opposite of the selfish ego. When we die, it's very important in Buddhism, in the moment of death, you leave this reality behind. The famous story in Buddhism, Amitofu, practitioner, prayed every day to Amitofu. Namo Amito, very dedicated. And in Amitofu's realm, in heaven, apparently this guy had attained a really high level. And bear in mind, Amitofu stands for detachment. He represents detachment and light, infinite love and light, but detachment. The story goes that this gentleman, as he got older, he got grandkids. Just before he died, he worried, oh my gosh, who's going to take care of my grandkids? Boom! He dropped. He still went to Pure Land, But he dropped significantly because you're attaching to an illusion. That is what keeps us in samsara. We attach to the illusion. In Zen tradition, they say when you die, you let the body go as if it's an old pair of shoes. Just go. And bear in mind, you've got to understand the wisdom. We're dying every moment. The Nick that started this conversation, this teaching, is dead now. He's gone. Okay? So we need to just let it go. Detach from the program, simulation, hell realm, illusion, whatever you want to call it. We detach. Completely detach. And don't wait till the moment of death. Daily practice. We're going to do it in a minute. Attachment to the simulation is what keeps us in the matrix. This comes to me while I was writing all this on the board, okay? The ego is selfish, heart is selfless. Joe Dispenza's meditations are very good. Any meditation where you're manifesting, which is great. Because what you're doing essentially is you're learning how to work with and manipulate the program. But here's a little trap that I believe people could fall into. You start applying Joe's meditation. If you start attracting all this good fortune, money, yeah, and materialism, big house, good health, right? All this stuff's coming to you because you're now manifesting. If you get attached to it, you've just fell back in the trap.
Yeah, well, isn't that the same end to what the Satanists are practicing? Is that attracting things to benefit materially the oneself?
Yeah.
So
yeah. So there's a fine line here. See, in Buddhism, they don't say, well, I'm definitely not going to be a Satanist, so I'm just going to, I'm going to live in a cave, right? That's not what we're saying here, right? You can have, someone can buy you a watch and you can really enjoy it, yeah? You can have good food and enjoy it. You can have all these good things. If somebody gave you a nice car or you had a car, you really loved your car, that's all good. You can enjoy the things in life. But if somebody says, Nick, I like that watch, can I have it? Boom, have it. You get me? That's the difference. The difference is you can enjoy the good things in this world, there's beautiful things in this world, but don't attach to them because you become a slave to them. You don't own material things then. Material things own you. People think I get all this material gain. I own a house. I own a car. I own this. I own my wife. I own my kids. I own all this stuff. No, you don't, mate, because the house doesn't care. It's just the object. But if someone takes the house off you, you go into hell. What? That's my house. That's my house. The attachment, you don't own no house. The house owns you. Makes sense? Anything you want to add to that, James? We'll do a little practice.
yeah, it goes full circle to how you're saying whether no attachments to the program, whether or not the divine itself or Tao, whether that's external to the program, because wanting to attain to enlightenment in a sense could be perceived as an attachment to the enlightenment program.
Absolutely.
Or
Absolutely.
so,
To want to detach from everything is an attachment. And this is why spiritual practice is so important. I honestly don't believe you can do it without meditation, without reflection, without moving out of the conscious mind. I wrote some questions down because from what I got asked, actually, I'm glad I remembered them. How do we stay out of the matrix? And is it by sitting in meditation all day? Well, obviously not, because we're not going to just sit in meditation all day. But the first step, in my opinion, is to see it as what it is, okay? See it as an illusion. Understand or reflect. You don't have to totally believe this, but reflect on the fact that we may be being farmed, Okay, there's a reason why everything, your mortgage, the work process, the food we eat, Wi-Fi, subliminal programming from school, vaccinations, the news, a list can go on and on and on. There's a reason why it's all to put us in this state. And it does. Reflect on it. Even if you get joy from your phone, it's an attachment joy. It's a ego attachment joy. It's not true joy. It's not freedom joy. I mean, you think you own your phone. Your phone owns you. So just reflect on that. And when you see it for what it is, see it as an illusion. Who's seeing the illusion? That consciousness, that spirit that is experiencing or observing the illusion is your way out of the illusion. Would you add anything to that, James? There's more to it than this, okay? There's more to it than this. But understand that with meditation, we gain insight, okay? So, move out of fear. That's the first thing. Eliminate things that trigger you into fear. If you follow my page and I share things that make you that might trigger you because I never want to do, then stop following me, right? Or just don't watch it or whatever. Anybody that puts you in over here, don't watch it. That's another one. When I stopped watching the news, my life changed in like 10 days. I used to watch the news all the time because I got brought up. My dad would not miss watching the news. And I remember coming to Australia and saying, you know what, I am not going to watch or read the news ever again. And that was probably the most significant thing that I experienced. It was like night and day. The world was a different place, just off.
It's amazing the attachments to watching the news as well. They sort of defend it. Like, oh, I just like getting informed. Or
Yeah. Well, you just nailed it there by saying they defend, okay? They defend that they watch the Matrix. They defend the need to watch what's going on in the news. Because when I watch the Matrix again, there's a bit where Neo's walking in the Matrix, and I think he follows the blonde girl in the red dress, I think it is. When he turns around, Morpheus has got Agent's got a gun to his head, and he says to Neo, in the Matrix, everybody's potentially an agent. Now, that blew me away because of this. You've got a family, right? You, and you've got mum, dad, brother, sister, right? You, or me. You start understanding this conspiracy stuff, right? You start seeing the bigger picture, and you tell your sister, right? But your own sister or your own dad or your own mum, these people who are immediate family who love you, because of their ego, unconsciousness, okay, they're not even intentional, they don't even know they're doing it, they become agents and defend the Matrix. And your own flesh and blood, and this never happened to me, by the way. I'm very lucky that my mum and dad, brother and sister have always been very supportive of what I've done. But I know people that this has happened to. Their immediate loved ones have said, you're mad. Or then they tell the dad, such and such has lost the plot. They haven't even entertained it. This is how the system's set up. They set it up that they're so afraid of people thinking they've lost the plot that they turn on their own loved ones because they start seeing outside the box. Just like in the Matrix when he turns around and the guy's turned into an agent, everybody who's still asleep in the Matrix is an agent, potentially. And they defend the right to watch the news. They say, how do you know what's going on in the world? Well, I'm sorry, mate. You're only knowing what they want you to know what's going on in the world. Okay, next question. I'll just go through these. How can we not buy into the emotions of this world when innocent people and animals are suffering? Is this karma? Yeah, it is karma. And on a karmic level, I tell you, my Buddhist teacher is a very compassionate woman. But I tell you a conversation I had. Tasmanian devils are suffering from this rare cancer that they're having. And when I looked at Dr. Emoto's work, when you put like a word like demon on water, it goes distorted. And I said, they don't know where this rare condition's coming from. And I said to my Buddhist teacher, do you think that it's the name we've put on them that's making them happen? She said, yeah. But for whatever reason, it's karma, and they're clearing their karma. And she's a compassionate woman. This wasn't like a cop-out, but it was good for me, because when we see people suffering, we want to save people, okay? But they're also on their journey, and they're exhausting their karma. So, as sad as it is, we offer unconditional universal service. There's bushfires are going on. There's a spiritual reason for it. Does that mean we just say, oh, it's karma, we'll leave them? No. We chant for them. We give all our love, care, compassion. If there was if the fire brigade asked me whether I want to go and help the fireys, of course I would. Okay, we still save, but there's still a karmic process going on. The last question: how much longer do we need for divine intervention? Don't wait for divine intervention, because this is our creation. This is actually our karma. And if you wait for God to come down and save everybody, you're living in the future and you're missing the opportunity. You are Tao, okay? That is separation consciousness. That's old mate down here who's separate from the whole. When's somebody up here going to come down and save me? We're all in this together. We have to be strong, fearless, loving, caring, forgiving, compassionate. We have to we have to do spiritual practices to find Tao and divine God within us. We have to be sincere in our forgiveness so that we save down here, okay? We are the change we've been waiting for. So why, again, sorry, I'm coming back to the observer. This is why I say collective meditation is so important. Is because even in this illusion, when people are manifesting money, houses, and all the rest of it, we can all manifest peace because it exists as a potential in the field. These Illuminati boys, all these, they're doing everything they can to keep us focused on negativity. If we come together and we focus and observe a peaceful, coherent, loving world that exists, we'll move into it. And one more thing, the Love, Peace, Harmony movement, 1.5 billion people singing Love, Peace, Harmony for the benefit of the whole. Why do I believe that would work? Obviously, I've just shared it, but this is David Wilcock said this once. David Wilcock said that an insider, a whistleblower, who was one of the Rothschilds, who hated the reptilians, right, but he was still a part of the plan, said to David Wilcock, if the whole world laughed together, we'd cut the energetic bonds to the reptilians. Think about that. We're being farmed, okay? If the whole world laughed together, we'd cut our energetic bonds. If the whole world sang Love, Peace, Harmony together, we'd cut our energetic bonds. Right, enough talking. Far out, that was a big one, that one. Okay, this part's of the practice. Don't worry if you can't see me, doesn't matter, just listen. So rest your awareness on your breath. Sit up straight. There's different techniques to do Service Shulian, but here's a simple one. Put your hand on your heart. May all beings be peaceful, free, and happy. That is Shulian. It is shifting your awareness from the self that has illusory problems like bills, what time you got to start work tomorrow. It's shifting that focus from me to all sentient beings. And when you put your hand on your heart and you say that, feel it. Feel. I wish all beings everywhere, including negative polarity beings, I hope you all find peace, love, return to Tao. Whatever you want to say, but the intention is on all sentient beings. That is a simple way that any time of your day you can do Shu Lian. How did that feel, James, just doing that? Did you feel a shift?
Yeah, it is that attitude of service. Yeah, you definitely feel. Yeah.
It's just so simple. So we'll apply the 4 power techniques. So body power, sit up straight. Soul power. Call the high level benevolent beings. You call a Buddha. There's countless bodhisattvas and Buddhas connected to every Buddha. You call on all Buddhas and they've all made high level vows to come back, to free and relieve the suffering. So through calling them and chanting the mantra, you are doing universal service to the whole. They're able to enlighten us more with wisdom and insight to see the illusion. So dear Divine and Tao, Source, dear Ai Yuan Shen, and every aspect of our being. They're all Yuan Ling. Yuan means enlightenment, enlightened. Ling means souls. All enlightened souls. Yuan Ling is a blanket statement for all enlightened souls everywhere. We love you, we honor you, we deeply appreciate you. Please do service Shu Lian with us. They are all of our, anybody we've ever hurt or harmed, we are sorry. We invite you to do Shu Lian with us, service Shu Lian, so that we can be forgiven and exhaust our karmic debt together. We offer our unconditional forgiveness to any soul that's ever hurt or harmed us. Wan Ling Rung He. When 3 hearts come together, the power can cook gold. Wan Ling Rung He is all souls joined together as one. What can we achieve when all souls join together as one? See this. See the body filled with light. Like this violet light. There's light everywhere. Outside, inside, makes up the space. All beings, we invite you to do Shu Lian together for the greater good of the whole. See light nourishing all our loved ones, all our ancestors, all the enlightened beings, divine Tao. Sound power as we chant a mantra, okay? We're not going to chant for too long because I've spoke so much in this practice, and then we're going to do a detachment practice after this. We'll chant Wan Ling Yu Dao He Jin, okay? It means Wan Ling is all beings everywhere, Yu Dao He Jin meld with Tao. So hold that intention. Our intention is for all beings everywhere to meld as with Tao, which means be one, return back home to the source. So chant with me out loud if you want to, don't have to, it's optional. Wan Ling Yu Dao He Jin. 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 Wan Ling Yu Dao Hu 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 Jin. How? And feel all souls melding with Tao, the source. And now be aware of who's aware, not the separate you, but the conscious observer. And as we observe this three-dimensional reality, observe our own attachments and let them go with love. You may release a lot of energy on your work. You may enjoy your job, but just feel what it feels like with a smile to detach from your work. Or if you don't have a job, detach from wanting a job. And see that there's no more energy leaking from the mind and body. And that can be used now to strengthen the body. See that energy now being used on filling the lower abdomen. The body is the vehicle which our spirit experiences this reality through. And there's a reason we're having this experience. So we make the most of it while we're here. Use it to build a strong foundation. And feel the relief of detaching in love. Think of something that's not serving you in your life. And in love, detach from it. And see the energy that's being leaked to that. See that now restoring the body again. And if it's with another person, consciously ask for forgiveness, offer forgiveness. But no more leaking energy to it. No more attachments. See your attachment to a material thing. This practice we could do all day. We've done a relationship, something that's not serving us, a job. Think of something material you have. Car, watch, jewelry, could be a house, could be a football club, team. If you were to die, you can't take it with you. But the attachment will keep you bound here. So cut the attachment in love and smile at it. See it for what it is. It's just an attachment to an illusion. See the humor, the funny side of what we attach to and take so serious. Smile to it in love, let it go. And that energy that was leaking to defending your team, or someone scratched my car, or did someone steal my watch, or whatever it is. See that wasted energy now restoring the body. Now this can be a hard one for some people, but think about someone or something you really love that serves you, a family member that you deeply care for. And drop all the worry and drop the emotional attachment that actually makes us suffer because it keeps us in fear. In love, that doesn't mean we don't care, we're never going to see them again. It means we're more present with them. Detachment is a very misunderstood teaching. It means you become naturally more compassionate because you've separated your awareness from the attachments and the illusion. Now you can see how by that separation you see that everything is one. Fundamentally. And that deepens our compassion. That takes presence. And I give everybody a few minutes to just observe what it is in your life that consumes a lot of your energy, that you leak to on a daily basis, and we all do it. We leak to. And every time you become aware of something, smile at it, love it. If you need to ask for forgiveness, ask for forgiveness. But let it go. And see that energy restored in the body. One of the final steps to enlightenment in Buddhism is whatever teaching gets you to a level of enlightenment, you have to drop the teaching. The Buddha told a story of 3 men carrying a boat. And the boat was crippling the men. And when asked, why are they carrying the boat that's crippling you? It's too sore on their arms, their backs are bent. They all said, we can't drop this boat. This boat saved our lives. It got us to the other shore. But that same boat that got you to the other shore is now crippling you because you're attached to it. You have to drop the boat that took you to the other shore. And if you reflect on your time of death, be free. Know that everything's perfect on its right path. And be free from the illusion, from samsara, from karma. So you can save others more. And we're going to go over the 10 conditions again. It's not, I feel this, just feel the condition. No mindset to visualize why you're grateful or who's made you grateful. Just feel the condition. So feel light. Feel gratitude. Be grateful. Not for anything in particular. Just feel what it feels like to be grateful. Feel humility, the opposite of ego. Feel love. Feel service. Feel forgiveness. Feel enlightenment. Feel compassion. Feel flourishing. And feel harmony. And feel what it feels like to share any virtue we've received with the whole to help relieve the suffering. This is aligning with the Tao. Aligning with the Tao is not I am aligning with the Tao. It's the condition of the Tao. The conditions of the 10 Das: humility, selfless service, love, forgiveness, compassion. All those conditions in one. Feel what it feels like to be detached. Tonight was a long teaching, so it's a short practice. But you can do this practice for a long period of time. You can do this in your day-to-day life. Observe your attachments. Observe, are they putting you in a state of fear, depression, anxiety? Are they making you identify with a separate self and ego? And if so, smile at them, love them, cut the attachment. And simple practice of Shiva Shulian, put your hand on your heart. May all beings be happy, healthy and free. That is how fast it is to shift your awareness to Shiva Shulian, universal service. Just shift the focus away from the self to wishing all beings happy, happiness, peace, whatever it is. Freedom. Put our hands in the prayer position. From our heart we say how. It's perfect. From our heart we say thank you, thank you, thank you. From our heart we say love you, love you, love you. And from our heart we say gong song, gong song, gong song. Means respectfully return. I love you all. I'm going to turn this video off now.